Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. This is episode number 6 in my top 100 trance tracks of all time video series. In this video I'll be counting down from number 50 down to number 41 as we work our way up the list. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out, please look at the honorable mention videos. I did 3 of them and they're all additional tracks which just missed this list. If you like the what's going on in these lists, definitely don't forget to check out those. There's a lot of great tracks on there and a lot of ones that I've highly regard and I wanted to include on this list as honorable mentions. And I think those are some definitely a variation of a lot of unique styles of trance tracks that just missed getting into the top 100. So yeah, let's go on to track number 50. Alright, so that was track number 50 by an artist called Voyage, and the song was called OAF, quote unquote chord. It came out on ITP Records in 1993. This is the compilation I first heard it on back in 1996, and then later got a vinyl copy, which I can't find right now. But this is kind of the ITP logo. Very underrated label. A lot of wouldn't say a lot, but a lot of good music from what was released. I think they only did like 20 or 25 releases, but a lot of good music from like MLO and a lot of other great underground sort of artists. And this is my favorite on that label, on ITP Recordings. I love the sort of celestial sound in here, and it's very smooth and free flowing groove. It's got a great pace, still works today. Great balance of techno, really strong, deep acid line. Nice kind of melodic, again, celestial melody kind of going over the top, and it just works in all the aspects and things that I look for in a trance track. And one of those things is it not being cheesy, and this track never even gets remotely cheesy. Definitely in the more techno realm of things, and just a very deep track and very analog and just great deeper frequencies in this track. Really feel like this is definitely a very underrated track, and recently got reissued as well, which is rightly so. Such a great track. And again, that's Voyage with the track OAF. And it comes in at a score of 81 out of 100. All right, let's go on to number 49. That was track number 49. The Source Experience, aka Robert Lanier, with his track called Point Zero, which came out in 1994 on RNS Records. This comes in at a Score up to 82 now out of 100. Love the atmosphere on this one. Very ravey sounding. It definitely ties into like what was going on at Belgium at the time. It kind of has that darker, doomy kind of atmosphere. Love the notes in the bass line. It really captures the deepness and rawness, like that is that kind of warehouse rave sound that I just love. The melody that comes on towards the end, around like 7 minutes. I don't know if I'll put it into the if I get a chance to put it into the edit the parts into the videos to show you, but definitely check it out on its own. Around 7 minutes, there's a really nice melody, sort of soothing, but it also takes it to the higher level. Nothing cheesy in here, just great underground techno and trance music by one of the masters, one of the most underrated techno producers of the early 90s, in my opinion. And I don't think there's anybody in the world, and I can say this and I feel like a fact, that did techno and trance equally together in the same song, as well as Source experienced it on multiple albums, not just one song here and there, like over 3, 4 albums, consistently from 92 to 94. Just fantastic music, and certainly a hero of mine. Let's go on to track number 48.
In deep space, abandoned.
Any crew?
Negative.
All right, so that was track number 48, Space Maneuvers, Stage 1, the Total Separation Mix. I have a copy here on CD and vinyl. I love this track when it came out. If you said this track was more of a progressive house track, I wouldn't argue with you. I just felt like putting it more in this trance list, but maybe if I did a progressive house list, I'd put it in there as well. But I wouldn't be able to do that. It wouldn't be fair. But I love the spaciness on this track. The vocal, the vocal sample is great. I love the space sounds in here. The melodic break build is cool. Definitely progresses like a progressive house song, but I feel like the melody and it's right in that period of '98 where progressive is really taken over and trance is really kind of dying, in my opinion, and really progressive house, more the club sound of progressive house is really taking over. And I think everybody who's heard this track loves this track. It's just a classic of Hooch tunes. Probably, if I had to narrow down my favorite Hooch tunes, this probably could be it. I think I only have two Hooch tunes on this label on the list because I do consider them more as a progressive house label. But such a fantastic track. I can't say enough good things about it. I just love the flow and love the spacey feel. But that vocal hook and that melody is just great. I just love it. With a score of 82 out of 100. Let's go on to number 47.
Or is it a key role in our lives? Or have we forgotten to look in ourselves? As the struggle continues, we know there's no fate.
number 47, Zion with No Fate from IQ Records 1992. I That was the Struggle continuous mix. I really like that mix. That's probably my favorite. I do really like the original mix too. Some of the later mixes got a little bit fast, but Struggle continuous mix I felt like was the best balance of techno and trance. Although again, the original with the rap in it is definitely unique and a little bit more tied to like Balearic and maybe chill out music, and that's a great version in its own right. But I love the Struggle continuous mix the most. I think it's the best representation of that track. Love the vocal. The piano is just iconic. Like whenever you hear that melody, you know it. You know exactly what song it is. Love it because it's dramatic. Never goes overboard and being cheesy. Great blend of techno and trance. Gotta love the deeper acid line, and the melody works so well with the acid line. And another great example of the rave clap. I love the rave clap sound. That's just my favorite, one of my favorite signature rave sounds. Just love it. Such a fantastic track with a score of 82 out of 100. That's No Fate by Zion. Let's go on to 46. right, so that was Virtual Reality by Two Thumbs, coming in at number 46 with a score of 82 out of 100. I first heard this track back in 1992 on this Universal compilation. I counted up how many tracks actually were on my list from this one CD, and it was 6. Probably the most from any one compilation on my list. Just amazing compilation, and I love the dangerous aspect of this trance, just the dark acid and dark, dangerous kind of trance sound. The beat's kind of drummy and it's all dramatic, but then the big orchestra sound is very soothing in a way, and it's a great unique balance between the hard driving acid lines and drummy rhythm, and just has this kind of orchestra song, just melody, just kind of, it's like the deeper. I'm not sure what strings instrument it is. Maybe it's just the lower. Wouldn't say cello. It's kind of the bigger one, the heavier, deeper sounding part. But just love this track in so many ways. And then towards the end, the break beat sort of starts in there. But just a killer acid line, and such a dangerous track. Like this is warehouse techno to the T. Like this is when you see pictures of kids sweating and raving and going out of their mind. Like, this is the kind of stuff we were listening to back in the day. This is that hardcore rave stuff right here. I love this stuff. Let's go on to track number 45. Even an older song, classic.
I'm about to reveal the tales of your life. Too many secrets are locked inside your minds, but you're all equal in life, equal in love. You're all building castles in the sky, dreaming of a better world. Is there life on Mars, you wonder, as you look up into the heavens above? There is.
So that was Violet Skies with from Fantasia, track number 45 with an 82 out of 100. This came out in 1991. First time I heard it was this Techno Sonic compilation in the same year, 1991. We're really going way back now to my early days. It's one of the first trance tracks I ever heard. It was so futuristic for the time. Such an iconic vocal too. There's a couple stories online about this track and the girl who sang it, and just became a kind of an iconic rave vocal sample. Just so futuristic, and it still sounds like if there was any one track on this whole list that I would like say here is an example of the darker side of rave music, like this would probably be the track I would show. Like it just has the most iconic sounds. It's sort of coming out of the new beat period, and it's still a fairly slow techno song, but then that melody and just the euphoria of this track and just how spacey it is. I mean, that's kind of what makes it more trance. Such an important track for back in the day. Such an iconic track, and uh, I don't know what else to say about it. Just iconic, classic. With a score of 82 out of 100, that was Violet Skies, 1991, by Fantasia. And that came out at number 45. Let's go on to track number 44. right, so that was number 44, Pacific Symphony by Transformer 2. It came out in 1992. Here's an original copy on vinyl, and it came from this full-length album called Transformation. Very similar to the last track in a lot of ways, but this is, instead of that one being more of a darker track for the time, this is an example of a little bit more upbeat, euphoric, and positive trance song. Slight breakbeat. The rave whistle makes an appearance here. You gotta love the old rave whistle. There's definitely some basic drum programming sounds on here for back in the day, but that kind of makes it unique, and that's very much like how it was back in those days of like 1988 to like 1992, just using some of the most basic rhythm sounds in there, just like bells, and I think there's like sounds like somebody hitting a glass jar in here or something like that. It's just these basic kind of drum program sounds are so fun, but that's how it was back in the day. It was just so basic and so just still, it was like the first time you heard those sounds, from those days, and it was just part of what was going on. But it's funny, like you look back at those sounds now and just how basic they were, and really, back in those days too, there's most of the time there's really no effects on the sounds. They're like, okay, they're on the keyboard. They're like, okay, I need a bell, and there's the bell. Okay, bell, bing, and then play the bell. Like they're not even really putting effects on these sounds or fattening up the bass for the most part. They're just using kind of the sounds on the keyboard, but they're making something great with it. Like this track, like everything else sounds like this almost sounds like it could be a demo of a keyboard from 1992. Like, but the great thing about that doesn't sound dated is that melody. That melody is so awesome. Love the vocal as well. Big piano sound at the end, which is very of the time as well, with the big piano breakdowns of hardcore style and the piano breaks in jungle music and stuff like that. Just fantastic sounds from those years. And this is a classic trance track from back in the day. Just an iconic and somewhat still underground record in some ways. And if I'm not mistaken, the artist is American, but I'm not for sure on that. But if I'm trying to remember who it was, because it came on Sonic Records, which was an American label. And if this is very, what I was gonna say was this is a very American trance track for the time, and it comes in with a score of 82 out of 100. Let's go on to track number 43. All right, that was number 43, a track called Parasite by Bilal, which came out on Rising High in 1993. We're up to now of a score of 83 out of 100, as we're at number 43. Oh, what can you say about this track? If you listen to the last two tracks that I just had, Transformer 2's Pacific Symphony and Fantasia's Violet Skies, those are just a year or two removed from this level of production. Like, just amazing how things were progressing. And gotta hand it to a UK producer to do it like this. This is just such a killer track. And the processing and the everything about this track is just programmed so well. It's like a mesmerizing beginning of sort of Eastern sounding, just mystical sounding, and then this deep acid line comes in there, and then the drumming, and then the rhythm is so unique, and then melody. This is techno taken to a trance level. Love the space bleeps. A great example of a trance song that refuses to have a direct 4-on-4 beat. Like, this thing does everything but have a consistent beat. Even though it's consistent in what it does, it's not necessarily your normal techno or even trance beat. Such a well produced track and such an iconic track, underground trance track. Just it continuously keeps rising. No pun intended. Keeps rising to an iconic level. Such an amazing track. Featured on a lot of compilations like Artificial Intelligence #2, Secret Life of Trance, quite a few other compilations. This was a classic track back in the day, and it's you hear a track like this from 1993, and you're just thinking like, what inspired this track? Like, it's just so, in my opinion, this level of production on this is just so. I wouldn't say it's to the point where it's like groundbreaking, but like, I mean, just fine tuned to where it feels like it should be groundbreaking. It's just who was doing it like this in 1993 to this level. It's just such a deep, mystical sounding trance track, and really, it's more techno and Eastern sounding than really trance. It's just one of those techno tracks that just takes you into a zone and puts you deep into the zone. Just great stuff. And very ravey too. Track that goes over great live. Play this track front to back, 8.5 minutes, nobody would complain. Such a killer track. Let's go on to number 42. next to that was track number 42, which is called Semwave from Air Liquid, which is from their 1993 album called Nephology. This is the American version or UK version, and then the German version as well, which was all black. It was a great album. This is also released on Modulation and Transformations Part 1, which is a great compilation. This is such a dark track, so deep. What else can you say? It's just wicked, just sick. It's like an earworm, like just gets into your ear, and it never wants to leave. It's just such a sick track, and just shows you the beauty and the darkness of a track like this. Don't really have a lot to say else about it. It just kind of speaks for itself. Just a sick, dark groove with a kind of sci-fi alien sounds in it, and just a great analog rhythm. Just analog. That's one great thing about Air Liquid is they knew they had great. I mean, Chem Oral and Can Oral, like specifically with Jammin' Unit and Air Liquid, just some fantastic analog sounding acid techno. Just unlike really anybody else. I mean, there was Jorn Berger did a good job with that, or a really good job. He was, and certainly the DJ Jungle Fever, which I'm blanking on the name of the artist who did that, but Stephen Roberts is in there as well. But man, Air Liquid just does this analog grooves that are just killer. Just so sick. With a score of 83 out of 100. Let's go on to the last track for this video, number 41.
infinity.
Alright, that was track number 41, Loops of Infinity, the Arpeggiators remix by Cosmic Force. This came out on Logic Records, 1992. Probably the most hard trance basic beat on this list. It's fairly straightforward, but that melody and it just wins me over every time. Yeah, it's cheesy, but I love it. It got great memories. I just it's so epic, and the piano and the build um and then I think that kind of shows how much I really do love, because I there's really nothing special about the rhythm, or I mean the I mean, sure, the melody adds because it is what it is because of how fast the beat is, and that's the tempo. So, but there's really nothing special going on about the rhythm, I'd say, or any kind of great sounds in here or anything like that, spacey sounds or sound effects or rhythms again or bass line. Really, it's just about that melody and that uplifting, swelling melody and the flow of it. But it's just timeless. It just brings back so many memories. 1992 this came out, and it was there's a lot of big piano trance tracks like this, but this was always my favorite. Cosmic Forces, Loops of Infinity. Coming in at 83 out of 100. Such a strong track. All right, so that completes episode number 6 of my top 100 trance tracks of all time. Hopefully you'll be around next week as we reveal the next 10 tracks on the list. And join me for episode number 7 of my 10-part series. Please, again, don't forget to check out the honorable mention videos. I did 3 of those. There's a lot of great tracks in there to check out. And really that fully encompasses my list in total. So I don't want anybody to forget those lists. If you're liking the series and you're liking the tracks, definitely check out those as well. But thanks for watching, and I appreciate your guys' time. It's very much appreciated. I hope you guys have a good weekend and the rest of your day.
Café.